this video, we are giving you an insight into some of the things that we wish we knew when we got started with scroll sawing. So let's get straight into it. The first one is to do with the setting up of the machine and the quality of the machine. If you are taking an interest in scroll sawing, it may be a bit bewildering to see all these different options, all these different machines, blades. There's loads of information and it can be a little bit tricky to know what to do. It is worth noting that there definitely is a difference in quality when it comes to different scroll saws. Do your research, spend a bit of time looking into what might suit you best in the scroll sawing that you do. Our own recommendation is the Hegner Multicut 2S. Some regard it as a slightly more expensive machine. However, we find that it does the job perfectly for what we need. One thing I would suggest with this machine that we also learnt after purchasing it is to get a quick release. The reason you need a quick release is because if you're doing pierce work, as in internal cuts, it makes life a lot easier and the process of cutting out a lot quicker. Having a quick release is another little tip that I can give you that I wish that I knew when I got started. We mentioned it on numerous videos as well. The setup is an important consideration. Now, some may see this as a little bit too much work, but our own thoughts is to get a solid base that you attach your machine to and then attach that solid base to the ground itself. This means that you got minimum vibration on the machine. When we first started, we didn't realize this and it was virtually impossible to cut out anything to a high standard. By minimizing the vibration on the machine, you can produce the best quality results. Blades are the next consideration that we can hopefully shed a little bit of light on for you for when you get started. Not all blades are equal and not all blades do the same job. Probably the biggest area to do your research on is the different type of blades for different jobs. Myself, I'm working predominantly in hardwoods of anywhere between 1/2 inch and 2 inches in thickness, and my blade of choice is the Niquaspeed No. 9 reverse tooth blade. That's the one I find does the best job. Pegasus also do their own version that does a great job cutting out, as does Flying Dutchman. So those are a few blade options that we can offer you. But it is worth noting, if you're doing, for instance, jewelry making, or you're working in metal or plastic, MDF, there are different blade options and different ones will suit whatever you are doing and whatever thickness of material you are cutting out. We've got loads of videos that focus solely on blades and the best options for working in hardwoods. Check out some of our own experience, do some research on blades and get the best one for your cutting out with your scroll saw. When we first started, we would use the basic scroll saw blade that was given with our Hegner Multicut scroll saw, and this did a decent job, but when we started looking into other options, we found that there were other blades that were superior choices for us to work with. Another thing that I wish that I knew when I first got started is that I could cut out more than one piece at a time. Now, this went on for many years. We would cut out one scroll saw project at a time. We're working with love spoons, we cut out one at a time, and this went on for years and years. As I made more of my own videos and started to upload on YouTube, people started to put different comments on there, and one of the things that came to light for myself was that I can cut out more than one at a time. For ourselves, in our family workshop, this was a bit of a revelation for us because it allowed us to be far more productive and to get so much more produced in the time that we spend on the scroll saw. Our own background here at our family workshop is as wood carvers. The learning curve with scroll sawing was a steep one, and it took us many years to realize how we could be much more productive in what we do. Furthering this point, several years after discovering that I can cut out more than one at the same time, I realized that if you can lubricate the blade in some way. It makes the cutting out easier. A few ways we do this: you can use an oily wood like teak and stack cut it with another wood like oak, and this will allow the blade to be lubricated by our oily teak woods. Another method that was suggested to us and that we find really effective is to use packing tape. Put it on the top and the bottom of the projects that you make, and as it cuts out, the packing tape is lubricating the blade, and this makes the process of cutting out that much easier. Another little revelation that we had as we began to learn scroll sawing is to sand the back of the project before we start cutting. After you've done your pillar drill holes, the woods can quite often have little indents, or before you've even done these pilot holes, it can be uneven in the surface. If you put your project on your belt sander, you can sand it all nice and flat so it sits squarely on your scroll saw bed, and that means the process of cutting out is so much easier. It's another way that we avoid something again that we wish we knew when we first started, to help us reduce the issue of jumping woods as you're cutting on the scroll saw. A more general point: if we had have realised the true potential of the scroll saw, we would have bought one many years before we finally got around to doing it. I didn't realise just how much time it could potentially save me, and this is invaluable. Today we find ourselves having to work harder and longer just to compete and survive. It would have been a piece of equipment that I would have got hold of sooner. So if you're at that stage where you're just starting out with the scroll saw, or if you are thinking about starting off with the scroll saw, go for it. It is great fun. It's a learning curve. It is a great piece of equipment for getting into woodworking, because you will be able to make projects using the scroll saw from the very get-go. But as you improve and develop, you can make these projects more intricate, more elaborate, and push yourself onto new and higher levels. Have a go, enjoy it, it's great fun, and the experience of learning is really fulfilling. So there we are. That is just an insight into some of the things that we've learned since we started scroll sawing, and the things we wish we knew. Let us know in the comments section some of the things that you have learned since you started scroll sawing, and hopefully some of those ideas will help one another out. If you're interested in scroll sawing, remember to check out the other videos on our channel. We look into all sorts of different aspects of working with the scroll saw and making with the scroll saw, so check those out, and hopefully they'll give you a few ideas to help you enjoy working with your scroll saw. Thank you all again for watching, and as always, we'll be back again soon with more videos.